Io, and I'm the SUA president here at UC Santa Cruz. We're going to go around and just introduce everyone, what their role is in the Chancellor Search Committee. But let's just start with Katie first.
I'm a professor of statistics here at UC Santa Cruz and one of the members of the faculty.
My name is Paul Simpson. I'm an alum of UC Santa Cruz, graduate student, and I'm the alumni rep for the search process.
Hello, my name is Fiona Wygant. I'm the chair of the staff advisory board, and so I'm the staff representative on the search committee. Welcome.
So what we're going to do real fast is just go over the agenda. What we have for today is just kind of like a guideline to help us guide the conversation along. And then we're going to go into the review of the Chancellor position, which we have behind us. We're going to try and create a portfolio today. The main reason why we want to have this town hall is so that myself and Katie, the two student representatives on the committee, can create a portfolio that the students reflecting the students' needs and wants, and argue and fight for that portfolio during the Chancellor Search Committee meetings. So we're going to be asking questions about what do you want to look for in a Chancellor, what are the qualities, the characteristics that you're looking for in a Chancellor, issues and problems that Chancellor should be prepared for, so like issues that are going on campus that you feel needs to be voiced, or a certain skill set that the Chancellor should have as soon as they come to campus. Nominations for possible candidates of chancellorship. If you have names or if you know of any very qualified people who can be the chancellor, please, you can submit their names. You can also email me at suapress@ucsc.edu anytime during the duration of this process if you have an idea of a person who can be the next chancellor. And then issues and problems with the search process overall. We want to make sure that as we're going through this process that every student feels like they have the agency and the voice to influence this process. So if you are feeling that your voice is not being heard or reflected in the best way that it can be possible, then we want to hear those issues as well. And then ask or pose any further questions that we should ask the Chancellor, or any questions that y'all have for us. Does anyone have any questions so far? Awesome, cool. So I'm going to bring this mic up to y'all. I think I'll just keep moving around. And so the first thing that we're going to be starting with is the review of the Chancellor position. So in small words here it says, the University of California invites nominations and applications for the position. The Chancellor is the Chief Executive Officer of the University of California, Santa Cruz, responsible to the President within the scope of the university policy. They exercise broad authority over and is responsible for all aspects of the campus administration. You see how to do nominations. You can also send nominations to that email as well. And so all members are welcome to input any kind of comments during this process. Essentially, the Chancellor is like the person who has the overall say on this campus, and they have a lot of day-to-day operations on this campus, so they deal with literally everything. So that's a very short scope. You can also go to chancellorsearch.ucsc.edu to look up in more depth about the process, the timeline of the process, and more details about what we're looking for in the next Chancellor. So, without further ado, I want to be able to make sure that everyone has or feels comfortable in this space, and if y'all want to talk at any point, you can. But I'm going to be just walking around and handing off microphones while we hit on these bullet points that I went over earlier today. And then if you want to go into any other detailed conversation, then I ask that we do that after the issues and problems that they should be prepared for. So the first question, really easy. What are you looking for in a chancellor? What are the characteristics that you're looking for? What are the skill sets that you feel the chancellor should have? What are your biggest concerns with the next chancellor? Do you have any reflective memory that our current chancellor has done that you feel needs to be improved to the next chancellor? You know, it's a very broad question of what are you looking for in the next chancellor? And if you just have to raise your hand, and I'll just come to you. You can also introduce your name if you'd like.
Hi, my pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm an undergraduate student. I feel that the next chancellor should have the ability to have really good communication with students and be able to actually listen and make actions or movements towards working on things that they are worried about. I feel that over the course of the 2 years that I've been here, I've seen issues come up that students have voiced, and those issues have not been addressed in any serious way. And not necessarily because he didn't hear them, just because he didn't do anything to follow up with those issues or move in a positive direction with communication and action towards at least common solution-ish. It doesn't need to be do everything that everybody says, but move towards something that's positive.
Thank you. So communication, transparency, ensuring that we're always meeting with students when students are demanding to meet with you. And we also have Michaela here, just so y'all know, she will be taking minutes throughout this entire conversation and will be bullet pointing all the details of all of y'all said. Anyone else?
So I feel like my characteristic is going to be going to need a little bit of context. So this is my first quarter here, or my second now. And in the first quarter, I learned that there's a lot of violence in the form of white supremacy propaganda, and that there's also a lot of negligence when it comes to how we handle sexual harassment allegations. And so, because there's such an issue of racism and sexism on campus, and it's really not safe, I would really just hope that we would put up a woman of color as our chancellor. And I say women of color specifically just because, they know both of those issues. And so, yeah, I know it's very specific, but it's very much for a reason. This campus is not safe. Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Kobe. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. So I'm really exactly why my friend over here. Chancellor really needs to be nosy. This is my second quarter here, and on the surface, we're not really in a position. Chancellor is a very great place, but when we look deeper, even really it was brought up before when we were in this building. There are a lot of infrastructural issues. It's very ignorant in the fact that it's not accessible at all for people with wheelchairs. As brought up before, the white supremacy is swept under the rug. And I haven't overall I've enjoyed my time here, but I think if the chancellor isn't looking critically into the issues that the students are voicing, then it's really easy to borrow one of the problems that we have here.
Thank you.
Thank you for the mic, sir. Another thing I want to address is that the labor issue that has been going on for a while is still not resolved. There's still no negotiation of the contract. The administration is still not willing to talk. And I hope that with this new chancellor that this person will actually start listening to the workers' demands and be able to finally give them a contract that actually does not screw them over, make sure it keeps them financially stable. And I would also appreciate that this new chancellor focusing like their energies on actually like using money to help students, help faculty, help staff, help workers, and not just line their own pockets. There was a time when they store several $1 billion into some trust fund in the government without anyone's notice, and this sort of stuff is just not okay because it's our money.
Thank you. So just to be clear, somebody who has had history of pressure, of encouraging labor movements, of encouraging workers' rights on other campuses, a candidate that has experience in that. Right? Okay. Or do you?
Hi, my name is Emily. Kind of connecting all those ideas is kind of having a chancellor who understands the community that they're serving and understands the students that they're serving, not criminalizing them and not kind of being afraid of the students that they're serving. Because throughout the past few years ago, I've seen that. I've seen that like throughout this entire campus and like throughout like my experience with like administration, so kind of like taking that into consideration.
Yeah. So to piggyback on what was said here and what was said up there as well, you would say yes.
Can you say really quick, when you guys are talking into the microphone, can you hold it closer to your faces? Because the speakers aren't really turning towards us. We're having a hard time hearing. And we want to hear what you guys have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. So just to be sure, when we're talking about somebody with community, are you looking for a chancellor who focuses more on the internal behavior and conversations of the campus, and then having their partner towards the EBC, CP, focus more on external, or what do you think in terms of the balance the chancellor should have with the EBC? This is just a conversation about like shared governance and collaboration between both partnerships, because
more than just symbolic emails every now and then when the issue comes up. I think would be a good way for the next chancellor to show that we really acknowledge and care and will act on all this.
So one thing also what I wanted to add was like that the next chancellor should work to making the school as transparent and as communicative as possible to the students and the chancellor. Because there's nobody, there's so many seats that are empty. There should be multiple, and that's just supposed to be a lot of communication going on. So,
I want the next chancellor to be somebody who puts retention of ABC identifying students as one of their top priorities. I've come across way too many students who mention that they've been here for years. They have never seen George Blumenthal. Before I even accepted to come to this institution, I met George Blumenthal in Long Beach. This school does so much to get us here, but there's literally, you guys are doing nothing to keep us here. So I want the next chancellor to really care about retention. Y'all want us here, but y'all don't do this piece here.
I appreciate that. So somebody who has had a history in the past of creating programs for ABC-identified students, creating retention efforts within their universities and campuses, has somehow increased retention on their campuses, whether they're a provost or a dean or a vice chancellor, somebody that has history in specialization in ethnic and identity retention, recruitment and retention percentages. Yeah. This is my workout for the entire years. So.
Hi, my name is Heather Willoughby. I am she, hers. So I don't have a lot of time to stay here, and I want to be kind of maybe saying something that you guys are talking about later in the future. But I think that we have a really great candidate that's already here on campus, and I think that she possibly is not what you're looking for exactly, but she might be exactly the right fit. And I think that person is Isabel Hayes. I don't know if anybody's had any interactions with her here on campus, but I have found that she has the most institutional knowledge and the most understanding of how this campus works, and she has the most amazing mind. She sees bigger, grander pictures. She can see the forest through the trees. And I wanted to just say that tonight. I don't know if I can stay for much longer. Yeah, I think that she's a really great candidate, and I think that she could be a very incredible asset for the long-range development of the community here on this campus. Isabel Dees, she's our Title IX director right now. And she's just recently been moved into that position, and I don't know, I have a lot of experiences, and I feel like she has a lot of institutionalized knowledge that could be good for the whole school and about trailblazing forward.
Thank you for being here.
Hi everyone, my name is Randy Vegas. I'm the GSA Graduate Student Association President. And so I have a few points on that note. I want to echo the sentiments of the woman over here, where we really want to extend conversations not just about recruitment, but about retention, right? Both undergraduate and graduate students. Specifically advocating for graduate students here, right? UC Santa Cruz is often, very, very thought of as an undergraduate institution, and oftentimes our graduate students are kind of, moved out to the outskirts when it comes to things like funding opportunities. When we look at, TA salaries, RA salaries that are established system-wide, it's a very different thing to have a salary that is sustainable at UC Merced versus UC Santa Cruz. So we really want a champion, or a chancellor who's going to be a champion for graduate students right in the future. And on that note, we saw, somebody here with her family, right? I just came from our GSA council meeting where our graduate students are very afraid of what's going to happen to their daycare center once it's privatized out of Student Housing West, right? And so we need a chancellor who's going to understand these issues, that when it comes to underrepresented groups, whether that be families or minority students, women, LGBTQ students, right? We need a chancellor who's going to be inclusive. And I want to say specifically, we need somebody who's not going to be a chancellor just there for representation, but who's actually going to advocate with students, right? Somebody who's going to meet with students when there are protests, right? And not walk away and send a representatives or say, we're going to establish a meeting at another time, right? This chancellor needs to be able to understand the history of activism on this campus and not run away from it or not shy away from it when it comes to speaking with students and opening a dialogue, no matter what that problem is, whether it's housing, whether it's food insecurity, whether it's sexual assault allegations, right, which unfortunately have been rampant on this campus. And so we really need a chancellor who's going to stand up for all these issues and stand up for graduate students and undergraduate students as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And y'all can always get other differences because we will again have some instance and some range of things.
The chancellor, this person, obviously, we entitled for whatever it is, if they can do it by themselves, one wasn't up to one person. So I would hope that this person, whoever it is, would be pushing the peers, faculty, staff, to do the same things that we're requesting here. So fight for equity and the students as well, because if they're not, pushing people around them, then we're not going to see a change.
Anyone else? Anyone looking any the skills that the next chancellor should have, that we're looking for, that we should be on the lookout for? I think the biggest things that were hit today, somebody who, number one, is very communicative with the student body, who shows face in the student body, somebody who's here, we feel their presence, we feel their engagement, somebody who is willing to know the campus climate, know that this is a very activist ingrained campus, and somebody who knows how to navigate those conversations with historically marginalized groups, and somebody who is a woman of color. That was actually the only identifying characteristic that was brought up today. And also somebody who is willing to advocate for pay equity, to put pressure on from the UC level up to UConn for the ASME contract, somebody who's willing to stand up and be really engaged in the spirit of Santa Cruz, which is the activism that we have here on campus. And the main thing, again, is somebody who's going to increase retention rates, who has experience with retention building, with working with ethnic and identity organizations, or working with programs that are increasing those retention. Did I miss any? I'm sure I missed a few, but I know Michaela has. Correct, perfect. Is there anything else before we move on to issues and problems that they should be aware of? Okay, great. And again, you can always bring up anything that comes to mind throughout this entire. So then the next topic is, what are issues and problems that the next chancellor should be aware of on this campus? I know we hit a little bit just about what people were saying, but is there any other specific issues or anything that they should be prepared for or have experience in that can be an asset to when they come on campus?
Hi, my name is Tori. One issue that I feel like the future chancellor should be really experienced with is taking criticism well and how to criticize the team that's around them. So for me, what's really important is a system of checks and balances and open conversation about what is going wrong within administration. How well are all the top administrators communicating with one another, and how good of a leader is the chancellor in engaging in open dialogue and allowing for freedom of criticism? And how well are they criticizing other administrators that they see are doing wrong or they hear are doing wrong? And what's the follow-up with that? Like, not to just be someone that says something once and because they said it once, they like the free of guilt, but it's continuous and repetitive and genuine about having an open, honest dialogue among top people.
Thank you.
Here's an interesting question that can linger in one's minds. When we're in terms of looking for the next chancellor, would y'all prefer somebody that is from an outside system, somebody that whether they're from the east instead of the west, maybe they're in a private California school instead of public, or would you rather have somebody who is within the UC system and knows the UC system? Or another question could be, would you rather have a chancellor that is from this campus in particular, or is this somebody? Is the next candidate, should they be somebody from an outside world?
Just to touch on two things, I think that's a really good question. And if it's going to be someone from inside, I think we need to be very wary of the problems that UC system faces as a whole. This ties into your question, which the problem that I see is most glaringly is that we have limited space, and we have pressure from the top to accept more and more students when we don't have that space as a fundraising measure, when really the amount of money given per student for a public institution has remained the same, even though students pay more than the government pays per student. So that's the issue that I think we need to be aware of, and I think if it's going to be someone from within, they need to understand that issue and be ready to face it with the students in mind, and assessment system could be beneficial in finding that right, or maybe not in finding that, but being aware that it has an active student message.
Hi, my name is Ishan Kumani. I'm a freshman here at UCSC, and my pronouns are he, him, his. I think that more than where this person comes from, it should be what's within this person. Definitely, I want to see a path, like someone who's passionate about the lives that are involved in UCSC. This just means that they are willing to do the work to get involved in UCSC and belong to UCSC, even if they haven't beforehand. And I feel that that's important because a lot of people will be good leaders, a lot of people can make great chancellors, but to be a chancellor at UCSC means you have to really be involved with all the lives that are part or impacted by UCSC.
And is it, I guess, another question, another follow-up question to my question, is it a big deal if it's somebody from the inside versus somebody from the outside, or if it's somebody from the outside versus somebody from the inside? Where do y'all draw a line?
So I feel like there is kind of this ideology that surrounds the way the UC system works and how the stratification happens in terms of like the chancellors and connection with UC regions and then with the with Janet and I think that at least with my previous interaction with the chancellor, the current chancellor, I found that there wasn't a whole lot of feeling of like solidarity with the students in terms of like standing up for what UCSC feels is important and what our students feel is important. So an issue that I think I see that the chancellor and the chancellor will face is, deciding where on that line, like how much are you going to stand in solidarity with the students on your campus, and how much are you just going to side with whatever Janet wants you to do. And so I would say that I really emphasize wanting a chancellor that's going to listen to what we have to say and then back that on a UC-wide level. And so in terms of that, I would say that someone maybe from outside of the system may be better because they would have that pre-existing relationship with the system and the stratification inside
Okay, how about this? Does anyone else, if you agree with the past two comments that more preferably the next candidate would be somebody on the outside, can you just show me, just give me a thumbs up, just so I can see a good number of people? Okay. Thank you. Is there any more conversations on this specific topic? Great, awesome. So again, I asked a question. Are there any other problems that the chancellor should be prepared for or aware of? Seeing that there's no more comments, I will move on to the next thing, and y'all can always again comment on any other questions as well. And then, are there any candidates in mind that you think would make a good chancellor, or are there people that you feel would be great examples of who the next chancellor should be? Maybe they're not even people that we can get. Maybe it's, I don't know, whoever it is. So who is a person that you feel that we can kind of look to and say, okay, this is a candidate that students are really interested in having? Who are people who have assets? Is there anyone in mind for anyone? Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Where's it live streaming on? Jan's having a hard time hearing someone in the connector.
Yeah.
The YouTube.
YouTube, yes.
Yeah, so I just had a question. And my question is I don't really know what the qualifications are that y'all are looking for in terms of, who is qualified to take this position, just because I don't
identify kind of some ideas of who this person might become, like where this person might be coming from, and what kind of people, or what kind of people, and what kind of job would be. Yeah, like who would embody this? The person that
Yeah. Who would embody the person that
They have to be a teacher.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Hi. I apologize for arriving a bit late. I was teaching until 7 o'clock. My name is Carl Walsh. I'm a professor in the Economics department. And there are 5 faculty members who are on the broader search committee. 3 faculty are faculty members on the science. I'm sort of the chair of that group. So maybe So the faculty subcommittee does a preliminary review of names that have been suggested through research by the search firm, by nominations, by applications. They come from a wide range of backgrounds. Most of them come from, they're currently in academic positions, like university administrators, college administrators, but we're casting the net very widely. We're looking at people who bring what we think of as a non-traditional career backgrounds, in terms of not the normal that would lead to a chancellor position. But we're looking for people who hopefully will have all the talents and skill sets and abilities that have been articulated here in terms of the ability to communicate, to resonate with students and to listen, and to deal with things ranging from representing as an advocate for Santa Cruz at the Office of the President, to outreach to the community, be able to work in town-gown relationships, be visionary, be able to raise funds for the campus. So the ideal candidate, I'm sure not everyone will meet all those desirable characteristics, but we're looking widely and looking for somebody who brings a lot of as many as possible to the position.
Thank you. Just to read this very, very quickly, we're looking for successful experience in higher education, managing a large, complex organization, with a record of strategic organization and administrative decisions leading to successful outcomes, strong record of excellency, academic achievement, deep knowledge and embrace of academic culture, energy around the future of higher education. And again, you can find this on chancellorsearch.ucsc.edu. This is page 10 and 11, the position profile provided by Isaacson & Miller, which is a search firm that's helping us. So, ability to serve as a leading champion for public education, excellent communication, listening and leadership skills, history of developing successful partnerships with constituents and stakeholders to achieve the institution's goal, demonstrated understanding of and full commitment of shared governance, track record of transparency and meaningful engagement of faculty, staff, students, and community members in decision making. I think one of the major things that we want to remember is that if we're looking for somebody who is a conventional candidate, that's usually people who go through the regular path of professor or teacher, dean, provost, executive vice, the chancellorship, or we can look for somebody who's a little bit more unconventional. This may be somebody who's not even holding any kind of leadership position in a UC or in higher education overall.
Yeah, can just clarify, that's not a priority, all right? A list of priorities in the sense that they're not ranked, those are just kind of arbitrary list of the things that I believe we're looking for when we look at candidates. So it doesn't go from the most important to the least important.
Yeah, and that's why we have today, so that we can figure out what that should really be from the student perspective. I had
came up here.
I also wanted to say that regarding to the whole process, that they be willing to tell us anyone who has officially been confirmed as a candidate, and so that we know that the information about this person, and also that also about the dates, about certain events within that process, so we can know better that this person is trustworthy, and that whether this is being done in an honest and impartial way. And yeah, those are my thoughts regarding the whole process.
Thank you. The process is, I believe it's in the UC Regents policy. Carl, do you have the policy number for the process where you can find that actually? Or, yeah.
So, the way this is structured, and it's not just in Santa Cruz, all campuses want to give you a chance to search it. There's a high degree of confidentiality until actually the final decision is made. You know, at the stage we're at, we're looking at a lot of names. Most of these people don't know that we're thinking about them and imagining how they would fit as a Chancellor candidate. It's very important to maintain confidentiality at that stage. As we move forward, the full committee, which includes the people who are up here at the table, as well as the other faculty members on the committee and regents on the committee, evaluate a shorter list, and those people are looked at much more closely and interviewed. But the campus learns the final decision when the president of Napolitano makes that decision. And that's the way the search is constructed.
Basically, what we've been told so far regarding confidentiality up to that last point is so that we don't compromise candidates' positions in wherever they are. So if we're trying to recruit, say, a president from another university, and they don't actually even want the position, their job isn't compromised, like their reputation at their university, or say they're at a nonprofit institution, we aren't compromising them by their names being put out there. Or if they are considering a position, that way, again, if they don't get it, or they decide not to take it, they aren't, they aren't put in jeopardy. I think is the reason that the regents came up with the policy being the way it is. Whether or not we all agree with it, unfortunately, that's where the policy stands at this point, and that's something that for future representation might be something to be brought up at regents meetings if it's something that you feel passionate about, and have the SUA go, have the external vice presidents go and bring that as something that's a big concern, is how these processes are run. Unfortunately, we as the committee don't get to decide how it's run. We have to follow the policy that's in place.
So just speaking on my question, I don't know why I'm here because for a second quarter, the person that I've had a lot of experience interacting with is Thomas, and I don't know, maybe not necessarily her, if she's not necessarily like fitting this criteria, but I think she would be an excellent role for a person that can carry whatever candidacy, just because of her intersectionality and spirit for the ADC community, and also the she would be excellent. I don't know exactly. She's
Just a comment, concern of the policy of confidentiality. You mentioned how you said that the policy strives to maintain a confidentiality in the case that they don't want their old job, or they do both. Why would we be searching for someone who doesn't want their old?
For people who are nominated, for example, that somebody else says this person might be really good, or if you're just trying to find somebody that fits what UCSC wants, and you're asking them
their jobs.
I think
So what is compromised then is assurance within the student population of not being able to do their own background on the candidates, and pretty much eliminates the point of these conversations. It nonetheless, they don't even have to say who those candidates are. And so if we are limited to giving our voices and our opinions, but don't really have a say in who those people really are, what's the point of these?
I think the general point is that we're here listening, and we take what you say very seriously in then trying to look for someone who will match the things that students, faculty, staff, the community are looking for in the next chancellor.
I guess my concern is just that it's very representative, and given who was trusted to choose to represent us in this last time, which was Google, obviously that process didn't work well. So my concern is that this process is very representative, and we won't have an actual it's not very generally, I guess, you don't have control over what the policy is, and maybe you could bring that in the future.
It's also, Chancellor Blumenthal was appointed under somewhat unusual circumstances. The previous chancellor committed suicide, and he was, as a long-standing faculty member, involvement in many dimensions of campus, was being interim or acting chancellor, very tragic circumstances. So there was not a normal search, and then he was actually named permanent chancellor.
Thank you. I think what you said, Tony, really would shed the issues and problems with the search process overall. Although we can't do anything right now about these candidates' names and stuff, we can definitely affect the next chancellor search process, whatever happens next. So it's important that me and Katie advocate for y'all on that level, like with the president and with the search committee, and let them know that we need to revisit some kind of policy change, which would really happen with the UC Regents. So we could work within SUA, within the external vice president's office, we could work on campaigns to actually encourage and demand that they change the policy so that candidates' names can be released at least at the final round, or at least the top 3 or the top 5, right? We have to work to fight that. Yeah. I do hear you saying this. Yes. So the biggest thing is to get as many student comments as possible. So I'm going to be strategizing with my team, looking if we can have like web series where all students can just tune in from their home on their laptop and just ask questions. And it's, Katie or Katie, whoever the other panelists are, they can answer those questions on the web live. Everyone can see the questions that are asked, so we can see if we're trying to draw questions or not. That's one of the ways that we can make it more accessible. Another way that we can make it accessible is, again, just emailing us, setting up any kind of Google form, emailing the Chancellor Search IM to submit your questions or pose any problems. If you want your questions to be advocated through me or Katie, then you can just email me at SUA Press. We are looking for other ways, if possible, that we can engage more students in this process, but if y'all have any ideas or any ways that we can collaborate with the organizations to get more turnout, then by all means, I'd love to talk more about that.
So you say your committee are trying to
Not my committee, like just our constituency, which is Office of the President, the officers, the Assembly. We're going to be reaching out and seeing if we can get more input from our more constituencies. SUA hasn't really done much to plan for the Chancellor's search so far, but seeing that we don't have as much turnout as expected, we're going to figure out ways that we can increase that. And I'll also send out a campus-wide email sometime this week to encourage more students to not only submit ideas for candidates, but also submit ways that we can make this more inclusive and get more engagement from more students.
undergraduate, undergraduate, are representing the campus of almost 2,000 people. So, I don't know, how do we even get involved in changing the process?
I did. Sorry. No. Well, like we would have to go through the region policy and see how to even change a policy through all. It's a lot of bureaucratic structures, but we can talk about that more in depth and work on a campaign of sorts.
Hi, my name is Luca Kalinskaya, and I'm a fourth-year student here at UC Santa Cruz. And I want to take this time to acknowledge what I've been hearing a lot from a lot of people here, which is that the community and the students want someone who understands the students and the students' perspectives, and we want the next chancellor to be someone who is willing to fight for the students and who wants to have transparency and clear communication. And I'd like to take this time to formally announce that I am running for chancellor for UC Santa Cruz. My name is Luca Kalinskaya again. I'm coming out with a video that explains some of my policies. It's being edited right now, but I think that the next chancellor should be someone who stands by what UC Santa Cruz believes in and has posted on the flyers on the side when you drive on campus, which is a tradition of non-traditional thinking. I think that I'm a very non-traditional candidate. I will be graduated in June, which is the time that the next chancellor is appointed. I would really like to take this time to open up my email and who I am, and I really want feedback from students, from faculty, from staff. I want to know what people truly want to see in the next chancellor on a personal level. Maybe if you don't feel comfortable sharing that right now, I would like you to email me, to contact me, to set up a meeting with me. I have a meeting with City Council member Don Myers next week, and the City of Santa Cruz meets, besides just the university. And I meet with George Blumenthal every so often. I met with him last quarter. I'm planning on meeting with him again. And that's me, I'm Luca Kalinskaya. And please send your nominations to me, to the Chancellor Search Committee. And please reach out to me if you'd like to have a more open and clear conversation about what I want and what you want from the next chancellor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just to help us with our conversation, we were talking about nominations for possible candidates for chancellorship, issues and problems with the search process overall. We have two major issues. Number one was that we don't have a final round of candidates that get to be released to the student body so that they can at least do or engage in any kind of research over that candidate. And number two was that we don't have enough student representation with having only one undergraduate and graduate student. Are there any other issues that you have in this process? Are there any other nominations that you have to the chancellorship? Or are there any questions that you'd like us to pose to candidates?
I'm just looking through Wikipedia right now for the past few minutes of the history of the past few chancellors. And so thank you for bringing up the last chancellor's kind of sad situation. But it looks like the past 5 chancellors have all ended in, except for George Blumenthal, ended in scandal or some kind of protest or some kind of weird happening according to my early research. And so I really appreciate that the person that we have as chancellor be someone who, I know it's hard to hear those things, but someone very ethical and with integrity.
Another thing that I just thought about is that we should have term limits for the chancellors so that the person just doesn't hold the position for as long as that person wants, and that we can make sure that this goes to other people so that it wouldn't be so like authoritarian over time that you can like eventually delegate power to other people.
here late, so I don't know if discussions of like police enforcement and ICE on campus we're talking about, right? Okay, one actual question I would like all candidates to be asked if they were posed with the situation of ICE coming on campus, wanting to interfere or cause harm or violate any undocumented students, what they would do, and if they would stand in the middle. And that question. But answer what I would be looking for. I would want my chancellor to be out in the street in the middle of an ICE officer and a student, defending the student and defending their absolute protection and their absolute right to be here on campus and the right of the UC to protect them. I would like the chancellor in every way to fight the UC presence on our campus and to question their intentions of every interaction they have with students. I would like the chancellor to recognize inequalities that are inherent in having a police system based on our campus and recognize the fear and systems of domination that come with that, and definitely be opposed to those, and definitely be verbally opposed to those and willing to have that hard stance. Because that's unacceptable that our chancellor is in favor of police brutality against students. And that's
I have a question regarding the process to get in. Would it, like, I don't know if this does happen in the chancellor search, but are you able to see the response? Like, I know we're supposed to keep our identity anonymous. Are we able to see the response to questions that are asked in the like interview? I feel like that would be really helpful to see, like, even if it was just candidate, like just like candidate A, and like we were like you ask each candidate similar questions and be able to see the response of like already. No, we're not allowed to see like their face or know their name, but I feel like that already says so much to see how they respond to questions, and that helps students understand more about how this person may react in real life situations, being a chancellor. So if that's not something we already do, that'd be really like, cool to see.
I think that falls under the region guidelines for confidentiality of the search. So my understanding is that none of the, when it reaches the stage of the in-person interviews between potential candidates and the search committee, that is all kept confidential.
You think
it is.
Okay. Didn't say very close.
That's a third. Thank you for your question. That's a third issue that's now brought up.
I guess I will withhold from my opinion, but that's a very valid question, and I think that we do need to take strides and see what the potential is in having answers being released for students to be able to create. I think that's a great idea. I would love to communicate with you more, Caitlin and Katie, and see if we can talk more about the region policy and see what next steps could potentially be in this campaign.
My name is Elisa, and I'm third year UCSC pronouns. Just wondering, like, after this town hall, how are we going to know if our input was like actually taken into consideration and implemented into the chancellor search? Because, like, it is kind of late, and like coming here and like coming ready to question and just acknowledge is a lot of labor, and since we can't, there's only so many like barriers we could like jump over, or like there's only an extent to involvement we can have. I just want to know like how can we be certain that what we're saying like our labor here today is like being valued and here.
So what we're planning to do with all the responses, so we have all the minutes that Michaela's taking, right, and we have a collection of ideas of what we're going to do. So what we're going to do next is we can sitting down together and create a portfolio for what the qualifications need to be, what experience they need to have. Basically, all the topics that we hit on today will be in that portfolio. We'll then send that portfolio out to the student body and just get an another round of questions, comments, concerns, and once we're done with that process, we'll use that portfolio and we'll advocate for that portfolio while we're fighting for the next candidate. So basically, any candidates that technically don't match to that portfolio is not the student candidate. So, Katie?
So one thing, so I know there's a lot of familiar faces here tonight from our last town hall. One thing to note is that this portfolio is actually extremely detailed in talking about Santa Cruz. Then there's breakdown sections that talk about what we want to see in this person, what the opportunities are, and a lot of those come from our discussions that we've had with you. So this gives you guys as well an idea of what we've taken from everyone here and other discussions once we discussed in our committee meetings and put into the portfolio, the champion portfolio for this position. And so you'll see where it talks about how we want somebody who helps with, it goes on, right? It talks about diversity, how diversity is extremely important. So what would be very helpful is actually to go through this and see if there's something missing that is extremely important that didn't get included, that we are totally missing out on, and then contribute that somehow. And what I was just asking Carl, which we'll talk, find out more on the region's policies, one of the things I just asked was if we can post the questions that we ask in the interviews, not what their responses are, since that falls under confidentiality, but if we can post the questions, assuming the question doesn't also breach confidentiality, like we're asking about their specific position. Because that might also help you guys to understand where we're trying to lead with our search. And that seems, again, assuming that that is something that we can do, it seems reasonable to be able to post those things for everyone to see.
I'd like to highlight bullet point number 3 up there, ability to serve as a leading champion for public education. And previous speaker brought up that increasingly things are being privatized on this campus, especially if you see workers like custodian. The university has attempted to privatize workers, and so I would like this, whoever it is who's going to be our chancellor to be a champion for public education. And I'd like to ask everyone here to remind yourself, what is public education? Because I don't think what you see is right now is public education.
Obviously, there's multiple levels to interview processes, right? So, like, normally there's like the interview panel type, but there's also like written type sometimes in like interviews. What are each steps of the interview process that y'all do? Like, how do you filter through candidates? What does the first initial one look like? Is it multi-tiered? And then like how are the next ones different? How do they get deeper, more intense? What's the process?
Yeah, can you also go to the timeline?
Sorry, I think my internet broke. I can't load my internet and pick me up in the meeting that and now I'm feeling that we're stuck on this page.
I can give you a short overview and then Carl, you can give it. Start. Yeah, you know what? Why don't you start? Yeah, I think you can give more overview.
So the process, of course, as I mentioned, the faculty subcommittee is sort of the first group that looks at names that are turned up either through nominations, applications, or research by the search firm. We sort of look at the biography of the person or other information about them, compare it with the list, and you know, not everybody, do we have evidence about their experience on all of those, but we look for which of the characteristics we're looking for does the person seem to have, what sort of aspects of their experience seem to be ones that would be good fits with the talents a chancellor would need to have, and qualities a chancellor would need to have. The candidates from that list, and again, most of these people don't know they're being potentially evaluated. Those are brought to the full committee, search committee, and they basically, we go through the ones that we think should kind of move on to the next stage. They look, the full committee weighs in as to whether, you know, the faculty have maybe suggested not moving forward, somebody that someone else on the committee thinks is worthy of moving forward, and so we go back and look more at that candidate. From that, we get a long list of people we think are worth exploring and learning more about. The search firm helps contacting people at that stage to see whether they're interested in the position. That further limits, because a lot of people aren't interested in moving, don't want to pursue further discussion. And so the next stage then is from the people that pass those screens and seem to be interested in the position and start getting more information. The full committee will narrow that down to a group that will be interviewed by the full committee. No. No.
Like, do you ever make them physically write an essay to prove they are comprehensive goals?
We did have a diversity statement we're asking for we're going to be biased, and to my knowledge, I'm going to be advocating that.
So there'll be an application, resume,
Cover letter. You know, many of these people have CVs with pages and pages of publications. They're holding senior administrative posts, directors of major centers. So
I personally don't think that a resume points to a position, right?
So we'll see a cover letter.
Like, okay, so my experience is a superintendent of a school district applies for a position, or somebody applies for a superintendent position assistant suit. Normally that process is a time writing essay, and they have a discussion, and then the student gets breaking tool. Is there a similar two-tier interview process? Do you time write, have them do time writing anything to pressure their writing?
Would you say having a writing skill in general is a skill that chancellors have?
Yes.
I just wanted to hear, is your name Paul? What the alumni, what you hear with the alumni?
What I heard in terms of
What they want, what they're thinking is, because obviously I don't know how many people here are alumni.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone here is an alum, but similar to this process, we've had multiple calls basically for the alumni community. They can fall into, in essence, like a Zoom call, and we did 2 of those. We also had a mention very early on in the process as well for some of the local alum, the alumni council, and other alums who have been very active, as well as the UCSC Foundation. And we gathered their feedback as well. And a lot of their feedback is very similar to what you hear today. I would say from an organizational level, finding a chancellor that is definitely a good communicator, someone that's you all have raised internally as well. I think the main thing is that the alumni want to be, recognized and seen as valuable in the community. In the same way you all as students feel the same way as well. People want their voices heard, and they want a chancellor that's willing to engage with them. The alumni, a lot of alumni are concerned about privatization as well. A lot of different issues that are happening, so that's the topic. But yeah, very similar thing. One thing that I would like to say is that, all of us here, I'll speak for myself, but from my experience thus far on the committee, everyone's very concerned about all of the community members' points of view. And we're all here taking all of this feedback very seriously in our own ways. And when we have our discussion, we can bring those things into discussion. So I don't think you should feel that your feedback is only heard or only limited to your undergraduate and graduate student rep. That's why all of us are here. And our other community members have other ways to get feedback from us as well. These are, tape recorded notes, things like that. So my experience has been is that everyone's truly not just invested in the UC system, but is also very much highly vested in the success of UC Santa Cruz. Everyone's trying to do their best to truly understand the entire community and take that feedback into selecting the chancellor. That's why we're all here. So I know some of the policies can be frustrating, might not be what everyone wants. This campus exists within a system. That's the reality of the situation. But at the same time, I want to take my job very seriously. I'm not just here to understand only the alumni perspective, all around the alumni representative. I'm here to understand all of the points of view. That's my main job.
Are there any other questions that you'd like for us to pose to the Chancellor candidates? Any questions that you feel would be important to ask?
What kind of daily activities they're going to participate in that directly contact and engage with the student body and with the alumni body as well. Because I feel like it's one thing to say, yeah, I'm really interested in engaging with students and hearing what they want and listening. It's a completely other thing to actually plan about how I was going to do that. Because it's intimidating. You're looking over a school, thousands of people, and what, how are you going to manage that? How are you going to actually, in practice, reach out that isn't just an email? And it's how they're going to engage in students.
Thank you. Any other questions that we should pose to them?
So one small, but I think important step that has been taken in that regard is the expectation is that the next chancellor will probably be on campus and will have more of a physical presence here. So I don't know how much I can go into the details of how that's going to happen, but there are certainly plans in that direction that I mentioned. Oh, it's under. Okay. Yeah. So they are planning to build a new university campus and have the chancellor on campus, which I think will be a huge step in that direction. All the UC campuses that have chancellors that have had deep engagement with their students have their chancellorship on site.
Any questions?
Just a quick question, what's wrong with the current university house on
Red tagged.
It's what?
Been red tagged and it's on another.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Due to what?
Due to falling apart.
I'm sorry?
It's falling apart.
Oh, really?
It's unlivable.
Oh, due to construction?
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just a really quick one. So, the Chancellor coming in tomorrow, I know that there is a long history of activism both by students and staff on this campus. So my question for the new Chancellor is going to be when these events will happen, So due to the history of activism on this campus, my question for the new chancellor would be, where should students expect to find you in future events of either students or staff events of activism on campus?
Any other questions in general, overall?
I guess I would like to know, this question is related to student leadership and how are they proactively this is the noise of the student awareness, organization, student rights spaces, student led spaces, how are they going to make sure that the voices are actually heard, so they get advantage in this university.
Any other questions? All right. If y'all have any other questions that you'd like to ask the chancellor, you can always get an email with the SUA does. I'm going to have a panel ask any questions and say any last minute stuff.
I just want to mention one additional feedback on that search website. The anonymous form, I think, is also a very important feedback. It's obviously open 24/7. You can fill it out at your own time. All the things submitted there will be communicated to the entire committee. So, again, if you feel like certain things you want to say today, things you want written down in a very particular way that you want the message delivered in that way, that is also another form communicated to the committee. And it's anonymous. You don't have to put your name or your email, nothing's tracked or anything like that. You can feel free to be as anonymous as you want. But I definitely want to encourage you all to take that out as well. You can feel the additional things as well as you can communicate that to your peers.
And the entire committee was yours.
So Santa Cruz Chancellor at imsearch.com. Again, either route, either outlet is fine, whatever you feel most comfortable. Yes. Question?
So I was about to say something similar to what you just showed, but basically I was going to say that if you want to get more student input, I strongly advise emailing every student, teacher, and staff member of the UC Santa Cruz like a poll or something like what you just linked up if you want to get more inputs. And obviously this is a very small crowd. Because emailing them and allowing them to get their responses with the comfort of their phone, other electronic device, or laptop, will definitely help in getting a lot more input. So if you really want more, my advice is to email them as a way of reminding.
Thank you. Any last questions or concerns?
I'm not sure exactly where it would go, whether an application or just any sort of compilation of the chancellor's responsibilities and duties, but making it clear. I think listing the communities that are represented here at the school, Latinx students, APC identified students, queer and trans students, making it clear that they have responsibilities to support and advocate for these communities, because I just feel it should be in writing that we are here, we're here paying tuition, we're here paying students, we're here surviving, and I think it's just important that they know it's clear that we are the people that they should be supporting and advocating for.
All right. Last round of any questions or any other comments?
Yeah. First of all, thank y'all for being here and taking the time out of your day to do so. Just one really quick thing. It was said that you would post the last town hall. Y'all posted it, and that was really nice. And I just want to commend you. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Lucas.
So there had been a question earlier about what we were doing to reach out to hard trying to reach out to graduate students through a lot of different means. Graduate students are really bad at getting involved. If you're talking to your TA about things and they seem to express interest, encourage them to fill out that form, because graduate student input is important, but they tend to get distracted by other things. So please encourage your peers, encourage your TAs or other people that you interact with. Thank you all.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all for coming out. Again, I really want to emphasize that we do not, we need more student input. We need to get a more collective, a holistic understanding of what students need and what students want. Again, there's only one undergraduate student on this panel, one graduate student, even though the entire search committee will be taking all the students' input very seriously, and we'll be trying to weigh everything. We need more student input, so if you can just encourage your friends to come out to the next, if it's a web series or if it's some kind of online thing, encourage them to log on, ask questions. We want to know exactly what y'all are looking for so that we can advocate and fight for it within the process. So if you have any friends or if you have any ideas of how we can continue to maximize the engagement with the student body, please feel free to just reach out and to say something to any of us, or to say that Santa Cruz email, or to contact me at SUA Press, any way you'd like to. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming out. We have a lot more pizza if you'd like. Cinnamon sticks, plates, take whatever you need. Thank you so much for coming out. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.